If you're an entrepreneur in Nepal, you know the deal. Big dreams come with big risks. Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful tools you have to manage that risk. We're talking about the legal concept of limited liability.
I mean, this is the question that keeps every founder up at night, right? The fear that if your business goes under, you could lose, well, everything. Your home, your savings. The good news is there's a way to prevent that nightmare, and it all comes down to a legal structure called limited liability.
So, what is this thing really? The best way to think about it is as your own personal legal shield. It's like a firewall that stands between your business's finances and your personal finances, protecting your family's world from the risks you take in your company. At its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. If you've invested in a company, the absolute most you can lose is whatever you put in. That's it. So even if the company racks up some seriously huge debt, creditors can't just come knocking on your door demanding your personal savings. Your personal risk is officially capped. And you can see the difference is, well, it's night and day. If you're a sole proprietor, there's no legal separation. The business is you, and its debts are your debts, period. But with a company, the law draws a hard line in the sand. Creditors can only go after the company's assets, and that's the whole reason people feel safe enough to take calculated risks and invest in new ventures. Okay, so a shield that protects your personal wealth sounds amazing, right? But where does it actually come from? The thing is, it's not automatic. You have to actively go out and forge it within the legal system. And this isn't just some abstract business theory. It's a right that's written directly into Nepalese law. The Companies Act itself makes it crystal clear. A shareholder's liability is limited to the value of the shares they've agreed to buy. So by properly incorporating your business under this act, you are officially granted this powerful protection.
So what are the actual vehicles that give you this shield? In Nepal, it really boils down to two main structures, the private limited company and the public limited company. Now, for most entrepreneurs, most startups, registering as a private limited company is going to be the go-to path for locking in that limited liability.
All right, so we know what the shield is and where to get it. But how does it actually work in the real world? You know, when a creditor is breathing down your neck, what's the secret sauce? What's the mechanism that keeps your personal bank account safe? It's kind of like a fascinating two-part magic trick. First, the law does something amazing. It recognizes the company as its own person, a totally distinct legal entity that can sign contracts, own property, and even get sued, all separate from you, the owner. And second, because it's a separate person, it has its own separate stuff. The company's debts have to be paid from the company's bank account, not yours. Now, it's super easy to set up this shield and just feel safe. But here's where we have to get serious. That feeling of security? It's conditional, because there are very specific situations where that protective wall you built can come crumbling right down. And honestly, this is the most crucial part of the whole conversation. Understanding the power of limited liability is just half the story. Knowing its weaknesses, that's what will truly protect you. Your shield is strong, for sure, but it is not invincible. So here they are, the major cracks in that shield. If you personally guarantee a loan, if you commit fraud, if you fail to pay certain taxes, or if you breach your duties as a director, acting dishonestly or not in the company's best interest, the law can and will look right past the company and hold you personally responsible. This brings us to a really powerful legal idea called piercing the corporate veil. Think of it this way. If a court thinks the company is just a sham, a front set up to cheat someone or avoid responsibility, it has the power to just ignore the shield. It'll lift the veil, look behind the curtain, and go directly after the people pulling the strings. And yeah, Nepalese courts will absolutely do this when they see the corporate structure being abused. So this leads us to a really common and frankly dangerous myth. A lot of entrepreneurs believe that the second they register their company, they've built this impenetrable fortress around their personal life. The truth is, not even close. That fortress has gates, and you're the one holding the keys. You can open those gates yourself, either on purpose through something like fraud, or by doing something as common as signing a personal guarantee for a loan. How strong that shield is, well, it really depends on your actions. Okay, so knowing all the risks, how do you actually maintain the integrity of your shield? How do you make sure that the protection you worked so hard to set up will actually be there for you when you need it most? Well, it all comes down to discipline and good habits. So what does best practice look like? It means treating the company like the separate entity it is.
Keep its finances completely, and I mean completely, separate from yours. Document every single transaction. Be incredibly careful with personal guarantees. And above all, just act with honesty and diligence. Good governance isn't just a buzzword, it's your best defense.
So what is the number one way, the absolute most common way that entrepreneurs just voluntarily give up their protection? It's by signing a personal guarantee. That right there is the single biggest hole you can poke in your own shield. At the end of the day, limited liability isn't something you just get and forget about. It's an active defense that you have to maintain through your own diligence and discipline. It's an incredibly powerful tool for every entrepreneur in Nepal, but only if you use it wisely.